Welcome to Kenpo University. My name's Al Babinick, and I have been an instructor in the martial arts for a little over 30 years now. And I want to talk, this is kind of an instructor talk, actually. So if you're not an instructor, you probably don't care about this. But this is also a way, this is how to control talking with your kids, all right? So some schools, very disciplined. It's nobody speaks at all. Some schools, way on the other side of the spectrum, they talk all the time and the kids are running the show basically, okay? But this is just a little instructor talk about how to control talking. So I usually don't allow talking in my classes when we're actually doing techniques and stuff like that. When we're stretching and doing exercises, and though, I like to talk to the kids and just see how they're doing, form a little bond there, right? So when kids are talking, here's, like if you're stretching and you have a whole bunch of kids around you. Some of the stuff that I like to do, because you have some kids, they never want to talk. And then you have other kids where you can't quiet them down. They just want to talk to you all day long, right? You got the talkers. And this is really to control them a little bit more.
Blah, 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 blah.
Let's say we're all stretching. In 5 words or less, how was your day today? Or what did you do in school? That type of thing. Or what made school interesting? What did you learn in school? So, and then when they start talking, you just 1, 2, 3, you start counting their words. You get to 5, you go, oh, that's good, that's enough. Or if they only give you, it was fun, you go, well, that was 3, you need 2 more words. And then you try to make them do that. The other thing, you could say in 1 word, how was school today? Or in 1 word, how was your weekend? One of the things I like to say, especially in class, if somebody new starts talking and they're not really supposed to be, you just say, hey, remember, if you're talking, you're not listening. You can't hear what the instructions are, you know? So that's one of the little sayings I like to throw out there is, remember, if you're talking, you're not listening.
I take my gun and I go, pew, 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 pew.
This is a little bit about talking, a little bit not, but sometimes the kids are having a great time if you're playing a game or something like that, and all the games you play with the kids should make them try to do something better. So if you're trying to teach them how to do delayed sword or something like that, whatever the game is should be making them learn delayed sword, right? But sometimes the kids, they don't know that line between having fun and being goofy. And we always have to figure out where that line is on fun versus goofy, all right? So if the kids are getting a little out of hand, maybe they're laughing too loud or something like that, it's usually, hey guys, I'm glad you're laughing and having fun, but you're being a little goofy, all right? And goofy's just the nice word for it, right? So you say, hey guys, I'm glad you're laughing and having fun, but you're being a little goofy, or you can't be goofy.
Blah, 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 blah.
When people raise their hands in classes. So I love questions, actually, as an instructor. I know there's a lot of schools out there where when the instructor says, are there any questions? The appropriate answer is, no, sir. That's not me. I love questions. If you're asking me questions, that means you're thinking, right? So I love it when people ask me questions. It doesn't bother me. But when the kids are asking questions, sometimes they're a little bit different, okay? And what I mean by that is if they raise their hand, the most important thing that you can do is say, is this about karate? Or you say, is this about what we're talking about? And a lot of times they'll go, and then what you want to do, you don't want to just say, I don't want to talk to you, or anything like that. So if they raise their hand and you say, is this about karate? Is this about what we're doing? And they're not really giving you an answer, you say, well, hold on to your question until the end of class, because I want to know what you have to talk about, but we have to talk about karate. So, or you just cut it down to hold your question in the class, then ask me, right? So that way you're not saying you're not important, whatever, okay? And by the end of class, usually the kid forgets what their question was anyhow. Sometimes it surprises me, but sometimes they actually remember, and then they'll ask you whatever their question was. So, but if a kid raises their hand in class without being asked, so if you ask a question and they raise their hand, fine, whatever, you know. But if you're just trying to talk about something, all of a sudden they raise their hand, you go, is this about karate? Or is this about what we're doing? You know, if they say yes, okay, go ahead. Now, if they say yes and they lie to you, okay, then most of the time I just say, like, stop. It's not about karate. And then keep talking. Don't just talk over them. Don't let them say anything, all right? Because they lied to you, right? So if you're just talking about whatever, you're having a stranger talk or a bully talk or whatever it is, and kid raises their hand, you go, is this about karate? Or is this about what we're talking about? They go, yes, it is. And then you go, okay, what is it? My kitty has the sniffles. You go, stop. That's not what we're talking about. Or that's not about karate. And then you just keep talking. Even if they keep talking, I don't want to get into a fight with a kid about their behavior. All right? I can be louder. So if they start talking, I say, stop. That's not what we're talking about. And then I just keep talking about whatever I was going on about. You know? And if they keep raising their hand, you say, put your hand down. I'm not taking questions right now. And that's just another way to do it if they're insistent about, I gotta ask you a question, I gotta ask you a question.
Stop that talking.
What I was talking about at the beginning about saying only 5 words or something like that to describe your day. If you're stretching or doing exercises and you ask one person, what'd you do today? And then all of a sudden a bunch of people start talking, you go, only one person talks at a time. So, and most of the time, I talk a lot, okay? I talk a lot. That's just the way it is. So, most of the time, I'll say, only one person talks at a time. Unfortunately, it's usually me, and then you keep talking about whatever you were talking about. So, if you're talking and somebody jumps in and starts talking, hey, only one person talks at a time. Or if you ask Timmy how his day was, and you know, Jim starts talking about it. Wait a second, I asked him a question. Only one person talks at a time.
Stop that talking.
The last thing for today is if people just start talking, you go, wait. I'm like a teacher in school. I really can't hear you unless your hand is up. So if your hand's not up, I can't hear what you say. And then you just keep talking about whatever you're talking about, or just totally ignore them. Doesn't make a difference. Because you never had a chance to say, is this about karate or anything like that. So if they just start talking, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm like a teacher in school. If your hand's not up, I can't hear you. And then all of a sudden, they'll put their hand up. And you go, is this about karate? And they go, no. And then you just keep talking about what you're talking about. Or you're talking, they start talking, blah, 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 blah. And it's, hey, is this about karate? And they say, yes. And you go, what is it? What's your question? My kitty has the sniffles. Wait, stop. It's not about karate. We're not talking about that right now. Keep going with whatever you're talking about. So that's just a few ways. I don't know how many it was. It's on my sheet here. So that's just a few ways when I'm trying to teach instructors how to be instructors at my school that I go through and say, this is the different ways you can handle it. Now, if you're in a super disciplined school where they have to stand at attention stance all the time and stuff like that, that's fine. But if you do allow questions or you do allow the kids to ask questions, this is just a few different ways to let them talk, but not too much, limiting how many words they're allowed to say, all right? And you get a little feedback with the kids type thing. And you just want to make sure that you are controlling the class. Whenever I'm working with kids, and this is true with this and everything else, if the kids made you mad, you lost. You should have the tools in your repertoire as an instructor to be able to control whatever situation happens, okay? So if the kids made you mad, you need to find another tool to help you out to be able to control whatever that situation was. All right, so today we're talking about talking, but don't let the kids make you mad. Thank you for watching this video production from Kenpo University.
Blah 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 blah.
I take my gun and I go pew 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 pew.